Welcome back to the podcast, the I Don't Want a Divorce podcast. Now, we focus on saving marriages in crisis. That's mostly what we do. And now with this new podcast series based on my brand new book, I Didn't Want a Divorce. Now what? I'm focusing on what I've done for years, but now I have a book, and the plan I've used for years now has been crystallized in this book. And we're focusing now in this podcast series on recovery from an unwanted divorce. A lot of folks in that category. If you're not in that category, you probably know someone who is. Now, if you want to help us save marriages that are in crisis, those that are still married, and help those who have an unwanted divorce, you can help us do that by leaving a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. This will go a long way towards helping us have more and more impact, save more and more marriages, and help more and more people that have been divorced. With God's help, His power, His truth, we want to save as many marriages as we can. And of course, divorced people need help too. Now, if we couldn't save your marriage, all right, we can save the rest of your life and make it a gray lab. That's exactly what God wants. Satan wants you to think your life is over. You have to feel guilty, you're damaged goods, it's never going to be the same. That's not true. God wants you to have a fresh start, a reset, and open up your life. Now, you're only going to find this book, like many of all of my self-published books, on my website. I Didn't Want a Divorce, Now What? On my website, davideclarkephd.com. That's Clarke with an E. All the resources I have are on that website. And again, if you're looking for someone very sharp who knows the digital arena, social media, website design, then you need Dugas Creative. Google it, D-U-G-A-S, Dugas Creative. He Phil's my son-in-law, one of my favorite son-in-laws, by the way, and he helps me with all the things that we're doing now to reach people. It's changed the ministry. It will change your small business as well. Check that out. Now, in previous podcasts in this series, I've laid the foundation for your divorce recovery. Now, I start the actual process of recovery in practical terms. Now, today's topic is create your divorce recovery team. You do not recover from divorce alone. Like any crisis, any trauma, you need to have a team. You're going to have to climb Mount Divorce Recovery. It's tall, it's dangerous, and it's got a treacherous ascent. You can't and won't climb it alone. Society has no help for you because society could care less about divorce. It's over, had to end, no big deal, move right on. You see this in movies, media, all over the internet. Who cares? You know what? That's not true. Divorce is awful. It's PTSD. It is trauma you need to recover. And what you need is a team of committed, faithful supporters who will help you get to the top of the mountain. So you got to sign them up. And frankly, a human team is biblical. I don't recommend anything that I don't think is biblically supported, either in the Bible or supported by the Bible. What Dave Clarke thinks is not important. It's what God says that's important. Christians in New Testament times face many serious obstacles. I mean, big time. Rejection by their families. You came to Christ and you followed Jesus in New Testament times. You were cut off. The same thing still happens in Jewish families today. Many, if they're really Orthodox and they go to temple and all that, you come to Jesus, you're cut off. Same thing in that day and age. Done. Disowned. Rejection by their communities. Persecution by local Jewish leaders, harassment by Roman authorities, loss of their jobs, and physical violence. Paul urged these new Christians to band together to strengthen their faith in God, to increase their love for each other, and to encourage one another. Hebrews 10:23-25 makes that clear. You need to be in church. We're getting past this stupid COVID thing. Go back to church. Choose your team carefully. I want you to select team members who are 100% loyal to you in the aftermath of your divorce. They were supportive through your marriage, they were supportive through your divorce process, and now they're supportive afterwards. 100% committed to you and your well-being. 100% certain the divorce was not your fault. 100% willing to provide you with whatever you need to build your new life. There will be friends who say they can see both sides and who want to maintain a friendly relationship with your ex. Are you kidding me? After the misery that dirtball put you through? Don't choose these types for your support team. In fact, drop them as friends. Some support team members will drop out along the way. Okay, that happens. It'll hurt, but you have to expect it. Replace them, move forward. Now, you will need a human support team for a minimum of 1 year after your divorce is final. 2 years is more likely the time frame. It will be longer if you have a nasty, abusive ex and children, high school age or younger. That makes it more complicated and difficult. I want you to lean hard on your team. That's what they're for. We've had crisis in our life. I won't go into it. We've had certain crises with the kids and in our marriage. And you know what? We had to lean on other people to get through those times. So I want you to do the same thing. We got through with help of other people. Don't be afraid of imposing too much on your support team members. Don't be afraid of burning them out. Lean on them hard. That's what they're for in this divorce recovery operation. Now tell each team member as they come on the team to be brutally honest with you regarding what they can do and can't do for you. A no is fine. A yes with conditions is fine. You just want the truth from that. That way they don't burn out and just dump you. What you don't want is for a team member to say yes to your requests because they love you and they want to help you and resent you for their choice to overcommit. This happens in churches, happens in companies, it happens in this scenario too. Let your entire team know that you want to be told when they are unable to help you and when they need a break from their commitment to you. That's fair. That's okay. Now here's what your support team will do for you. And it's important. There's a long and important list of actions your support team will provide for you. Prayer for you and with you. Prayer is powerful. God answers prayer. Encouragement when you are down and feeling hopeless, and you're going to be there, no doubt. Money for bills, food, rent, mortgage, and other expenses. Divorce is expensive. Now, most of us aren't rich. Your income cut in half could be worse than that. And again, these need to be gifts. The money you get from the support team, these are gifts, not loans. Do not take a loan. That changes the relationship. Freely give. Your support team needs to freely give to you these gifts. Help with your children in the areas of babysitting, homework, and mentoring. Grandparents can be especially helpful in these areas. A go-between with your ex by giving him messages from you, dropping the kids off to him, picking the kids up from him, and working out conflicts between you and him. The less contact with your ex, frankly, the better. And so people on the support team can be the go-between. Also, fun, relaxing time spent with your support team and your children. You need fun too. So here is your human team. Family. You've already covered in this podcast series. God, of course, is your main support team member, of course, without question. But here's your human support team. Family is important. Parents, siblings, even grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles. They should be on your side. If they're not for some crazy reason, cut them off. We would do anything for our 4 children and our 4 grandchildren. You name it, we do it. That's what family is for. Close friends will be part of your human support team. True friends are few and far between, that's true. These friends love you and believe in you and will do whatever it takes to help you. Maybe 2 or 3, even 1 or 2, good enough. What I call a recovery coach is very important as a human support team member. This is one person, a close friend or a mentor of the same sex, who will be your main go-to person in the recovery process. You ask this coach to read this book, this I Didn't Want a Divorce book, along with you, and to hold you accountable as you move through the process. This is a vital part of the team. Pastor and church, I think, are also important. You need a pastor who does not blame you in any way for the divorce if it was not your fault. If your ex divorced you for a non-biblical reason, that's 100% your ex's fault. If you were forced to file, God released you to file divorce on an abusive spouse, that's not your fault. If your pastor's not sure, get a new pastor, get a new church. This pastor I'm talking about is willing to come alongside you during your divorce recovery. All right, a local church, as I mentioned in a previous podcast, is also a key part of your team. God wants us in church. Neighbors, those who live near you can be a great help with your children. We live in a neighborhood, Lake Magdalene here in Tampa. That's a wonderful place. We have some wonderful neighbors around us. We help them at times. They help us. They can help with children, lawn maintenance, chores, certain home repairs. People usually want to be helpful and like helping you. A Christian counselor can be a vitally important person on your support team. Of course, I'm a Christian counselor, so I'm in favor of it. If you can afford one, a Christian counselor can guide you through my divorce recovery steps. These steps are hard. It's not rocket science, but you need someone to guide you through it and help you. That's what a Christian counselor is for. Having an experienced and godly therapist will keep you on track in your recovery. Now, with a therapist, make sure it's one who's experienced and licensed by the state. An attorney can also be very helpful. If your ex continues to break the divorce settlement, and many do, by refusing to abide by the child sharing agreement and by jerking you around financially, a good attorney will be required. If your attorney for the divorce was weak and ineffective, fire him and get a new tough one. People fire attorneys all the time. Not doing the job, done, move on. Because the pansies, the attorneys that are weak pansies, lose. They lose every time. You want someone tough. Could be a Christian, could not be, but somebody tough. Coworkers at your job can be really important. I've had client after client in my office say, boy, my coworker was so helpful and helped me, supported me. So, do your best to develop allies at your workplace. Your first year post-divorce will be full of challenges and life disruptions. Ask certain coworkers to cover for you when needed. You'll do the same for them. Try to get your immediate supervisor to understand your situation and to work with you in your transition to a new life. So with your human support team being formed, I'm telling you what, it's time now to get angry, really angry. I'm going to explain that in my next podcast. That's the cliffhanger here. You're going to get righteously angry, and you need to get that. That's the first part of your emotional recovery. So my friends, if you're divorced or you know someone who is, get this book, I Didn't Want a Divorce, Now What? I wrote it for you. If you're in a marital crisis, go to my website, davideclarkephd.com. That's Clarke with an E. You'll see all my resources for marriages in crisis. You name the crisis, I've got a specific plan for it in one of my books. And you can also do a phone advice session. I'm doing those now, mostly phone advice sessions in my practice. I still see local clients and marriage intensive clients, but I'm doing more and more phone calls. 1 or 2 phone calls to get the background, to get you solidly on track, maybe probably sell you a book, make sure you're following the right strategy to save your marriage and to be empowered and to survive in the marriage can make all the difference.